Welcome, everyone, to episode 250 of Shadow Billionaire. This is exciting because this is the first time that I've been allowed to show everyone how I record an episode. So you'll see all of the boring stuff. You'll see all of my mistakes. You'll see everything on the screen here. Um, you'll see the waveforms. You'll see the spikes. I'm going to use a clicker. So, forewarning, you're going to hear a whole lot of this in 3, 2, 1. Real annoying, but this is a lifesaver in time. So it's going to take me a little longer today to record this just because I'll be keeping an eye on the chat and answering any questions, and all in all, just trying to record and get this job done. So if you have any questions, or if you're curious, throw them in the chat. I'll answer them when I can, and then when I get to the editing part to cut out my mistakes, I'll have a lot more time to answer questions too, but I'll keep an eye on it nonetheless. So I guess here we go, episode 250. And this is for Pocket FM. I'll put a link in the description so you can listen to the other 249 episodes that are out. Okay. Get my script up. You won't see that, but you'll see everything else. See my little waveforms there? All right. Sorry, that's to let myself know that I have to cut that out, and I got to do it again now. Ryan and the rest of the crew went back to the Park House Hotel and converged around the large dining table in the presidential suite. They worked through the night, planning the raid on the underground bunker in Queens where Liz's parents were being held. Around 2 a.m., Ryan stood behind Michelle and Constance and leaned in between them, interrupting a debate about the best technique for breaching a wall: battering ram or plastic explosives. Okay, so I got a little lost here. I gotta figure out who's going to be saying this next line. Oh, it's Ryan. Man, I need a nap. All right. Hey, I don't mean to bruise you guys' egos, but I think you may have been wrong about Jeffrey and Aaron. I mean, they've barely even looked at each other all night. Michelle and Constance glanced up at him, looked at each other. Michelle and Constance glanced up at him, looked at each other, and then went back to their schematic. What? Ryan said. Michelle shook her head. How can you be so good at reading people around a poker table and so bad at reading them in real life? I'm great at reading people in real life. I'm telling you, there's nothing going on between them. Whatever you say, Mr. Quinn, Constance said. Ryan frowned at them, then straightened up and walked into the living room. Desmond was asleep in a chair. Ryan gave him a nudge. Why don't you go lie down in my room for a bit? Ryan said. Desmond rubbed his eyes. What time is it? It's after 2. You should probably get some proper sleep. You should get some proper sleep. Go down to page 2. No, I can't do that. Jeffrey and I still have to figure out how to beam the security feed to the team heading into the bunker. That sounded weird. Jeffrey and I still have to figure out how to beam the security feed to the team heading into the bunker. It can wait an hour. Go catch a few winks. Desmond got up, went into Ryan's room, and closed the door. Ryan walked over to Liz's room and looked inside. Liz and Aaron were sitting on the bed, deep in conversation. Hey, am I interrupting anything? Aaron turned to him. Yeah, we were about to braid each other's hair and talk about how cute we think you are. I figured that's what you were doing. We were trying to decide which one of us should be part of the team that goes inside and which one should be standing guard, Liz said. Ryan nodded. Little belly noise there. Ryan nodded. I see. Let me guess. You both want to go in. It makes the most sense for me to go, Liz said. They're my parents. Erin shook her head. Erin shook her head. That's why it makes the least sense for you. That's why it makes the least sense for you to go. You've got too much invested in this, emotionally speaking, I mean. I can separate my emotions. Just ask Ryan. She's not wrong, Ryan said. She's very good at separating her emotions from the task at hand. Liz turned to Erin. See? But Erin's also right. You haven't laid eyes on your parents in 10 years. Who knows how you'll react when you see them again? 10 years is a long time to live in captivity, Liz. They might not be in great shape. Page 3. Going quick. So what are you saying? You want me to sit out the rescue of my own parents? Guarding the perimeter is hardly sitting out. You might still get a chance to kill a few Russian mafiosos. Liz lowered her head. I'll tell you what, Erin said. If I happen to catch one of these Ruskies alive, I'll haul him out and let you kill him. Deal? Liz looked up and smiled. Deal. Ryan turned to look at Michelle and Constance across the room, still discussing the best way to demolish a wall, then back to Liz and Erin, striking a bargain for who got to kill a man. All the women in my life are terrifying, he said to himself. Planning continued through the following day. Constance, Ingrid, and Buzz spent several hours doing surveillance of the area where Liz's parents were being held, taking photos, and sending them back to the group. By the evening, there was a solid rescue plan in place. Ryan looked around the dining room table at the 9 members of his team. So let's review everyone's responsibilities. Jeffrey and Desmond, you'll be off-site hacking into the Russian security feed and beaming it to the team. So let's review everyone's responsibilities. Jeffrey and Desmond, you'll be off-site hacking into the Russian security feed and beaming it to the team. Aaron, Bruiser, and Michelle, and Ingrid. You 4 will penetrate the bunker, eliminate the targets, and extract Liz's parents. Liz, Buzz, and Constance, you guys have the perimeter. I'm in the main getaway car. I'll bring the Severins to the safe house. Jeffrey and Desmond will drive over in separate SUVs and pick up the rest of you. Final thoughts, anyone? I hate that we won't get a chance to rehearse, Michelle said. But it's a good plan. Agreed, Erin said. As long as I get to take out a few commies, I'm happy, Bruiser said. Ryan sighed. How many times do I have to tell you people, Russia isn't a communist country anymore. They're a federal democratic— Oh, shut up! The room yelled in unison. Fine, Ryan said. Live in ignorance. See if I care. What time do you want to head over for the final surveillance? Liz asked Ryan. Before dawn. If you and I leave early enough, we'll beat traffic and we can be there in 30 minutes. Then we need to get back to the Brooklyn Botanic Garden by noon to meet with Peter so he can tell us where the trade is supposed to go down. Ryan looked around the table. Everyone get some rest. We'll go over the plan one more time tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow night, it's showtime. The team dispersed. Early the next morning, Ryan and Liz got into one of the cars Ryan had rented the day before. A Chevy Camaro with a V8 engine that he would use to drive the Severins to safety that night. Traffic was light, and they made it to Queens in half an hour. They parked near the site and waited. The sun started to rise around 7:15. The sun started to rise around 7:15. Ryan? Liz said. Yeah? Do you think do you think my parents will be ashamed of me? He tried to face her, but she was staring out the window. What? The Russians must have told her the kinds of things I was doing to keep them alive and safe. Do you think they'll be ashamed of me for all I've done? Ryan thought for a moment. Ryan thought for a moment. I think they'll understand that you were in an impossible. I think they'll understand that you were in an impossible situation. And if they bothered, and if they're bothered by some of the things you've done, well, that's something you'll all have to work through together. It may take time, but you'll get there. Time, Liz repeated. How much time have we lost? Them? Me? He reached out and rested his hand on her shoulder. One step at a time, Liz. She didn't turn around, but Ryan could feel her breathing change. At 10 o'clock, Ryan started up the engine. Let's do one last sweep of the neighborhood. Make sure there's nothing fishy. He put the car in gear and started circling the streets. They were in a mostly industrial area, filled with auto repair shops mixed in with row houses. Ryan was about to turn left down a new street when he stopped, cut right, and then circled the block. What are you doing? Liz asked. We already swept this area. I need to check something, he said. He cruised slowly down a street with a tire store. He cruised slowly down a street with a tire store and a Department of Transportation inspection facility. You see that Toyota Camry parked up there? He asked. Liz peered ahead. The gray car? Yeah. I see it. What's the problem? It's parked illegally. It's parked illegally. So, it's New York. People park illegally all the time. But there are plenty of empty spaces along the street. They probably parked there yesterday when it was crowded and haven't come back to move it yet, Liz said. The spot that they're in, though, it gives them a perfect view. The spot that they're in, though, it gives them a perfect view of the location where your parents are being held. It also lets them see traffic coming from every direction. Liz stared at him. I think you're being paranoid. Ryan drove up closer. The Camry's windows were tinted, making it impossible to see inside. He drove past the Camry to the middle of the intersection and stopped. Ryan, what are you doing? Ryan put the car in reverse and slammed on the gas. Ryan! The back of their Camaro slammed into the front of the Camry. Glass shattered out of their rear window. Have you lost your mind? Liz yelled. Ryan unbuckled his seatbelt, got out of the car, and ran over to the Camry. The driver's side window had been smashed out. Inside, Ryan could see the airbags had been deployed. Two men sat bloodied and dazed in their front seats. Two men sat bloodied and dazed in the front seats. Ryan took a knife out of his pocket and slashed the airbag. It deflated, and Ryan saw a familiar face. Liz got out of the car. Liz got out of the car. All right, time for a little tea break. Hey, Trent, thanks for joining. So this is episode 250 of Shadow Billionaire. I'm going through the production process of it now, recording an episode. You're seeing exactly how I do what I do. It is boring. It is nothing fancy. Well, it's not boring. It's boring to watch. But yeah, I will continue. And if you have questions, throw them in the chat. I'll look at them, and head over to Pocket FM. Listen to Shadow Billionaire. It's number 14 in their drama category right now for male, and almost 2 million listens right now. So people like it a little bit. Kevin, thanks for joining. See if I can find my place again. All right, I'll just start here. Good enough. Liz got out of the car. Liz got out of the car. Ryan, what's going on? It's our friends from the FBI, Agents Jacobs and Jensen. Liz came around and looked inside. Jacobs was in the driver's seat, moaning groggily. What are they doing here? How could they have known where my parents were being held? I have my suspicions. Ryan opened the driver's side door, dragged Jacobs out of his seat, and tossed him into the back. Then he went around to the passenger side and did the same with Jensen. He opened up the glove box and looked inside. Bingo. He reached in and pulled out a bundle of zip ties. Ryan, this is crazy. You just attacked 2 FBI officers. Ryan bound Jacobs and Jensen's hands and feet. Then he got into the driver's seat and pushed the ignition button. The Camry started. Take the Camaro, he said to Liz. Get to the meeting at the Botanic Gardens. We can't let the Russians think anything is off. What are you going to do? I'm going to drive these guys back to the hotel. I've got a few questions I need them to answer. I'm going to drive these guys back to the hotel. I've got a few questions I need them to answer. All right. Well, that concludes episode 250 as far as reading it. So now I get to do the fun part of editing. And it looks real boring. So, yeah. I'm going to make this window a little smaller. Hey, McMinnie Mouse, thanks for joining. I'm just about to start editing. Editing an episode that I just recorded. Where is it? Here. Oh, well. So this is the boring part. And I got to cut out any silences. Cut out all my mistakes. And this is exactly why I used the dog clicker. Where is it at here? This right here. PetSmart. Like $2. Best thing I ever bought for my business other than a microphone and a sound booth. Because this waveform right here, as you can see, there's a giant spike, and I can see it when I'm zoomed out wherever any of my mistakes are through the whole episode. So this is a great editing technique that I've found. Some people do it differently. This is the way I prefer, so I highly recommend it. And, oh, yeah, Kevin, I just answered that question. Clicker. It's a dog clicker trainer thing. So any pet store would usually have it. Just make sure it's real clicky. Some of them aren't too clicky, and if like you're holding it, you can't see it, but if I'm holding it down in my lap, if they're quiet, it won't make big enough waveform to really see. So let me make this smaller again. Okay. All right. I'm glad you can't hear this. Let me know if you can hear this, because if you can't hear when I'm playing it and editing it, it's real annoying. Just hearing little bits and clips of your voice. Yeah, not fun. Not fun. This is the part that people usually outsource. But I don't, because it doesn't take too terribly long, and I like to keep all of my earnings. Because the government's taxes are expensive for self-employed people. And this is just something I do for this particular client with Pocket FM. They request that there's minimal spacing, but this isn't necessary for every job you do. And after I send this off to them, then that's when they'll proofread it, they'll master it and all that stuff, and they'll add sound effects and music to it for the final production. So this is like, besides the script being written, this is the next step in the chain. Yeah, this it goes pretty quick once you've done it a lot, and I've been doing this for several years. This would have taken me quite a bit longer normally when I first started, and creating your own hotkeys on your DAW or your digital audio workstation is a huge help because I hardly have to pick up my hands at all. Yeah, appreciate that, Trent. For me, Kevin, I prefer reading on a screen just because I'm right here and my monitor's right in front of me. Um, a lot of people prefer paper copy. I don't think I've ever actually tried it. Uh, but yeah, I guess just whichever you're most comfortable with. Well, for the last 7-ish years, can't say I've used paper, so for me, it's all digital on the screen. Ooh, ooh, that was close to clipping. So clipping is where the audio is too loud and it kinda distorts it. The waveform will get actually, like, chopped off, it'd just be a block. Yes, Trent, I am in a home studio, so this is where I work, every day. Well, not on the weekends if I can help it. So this is a Studio Bricks Pro model that I'm in right now, so it's a prefabricated isolation booth with an extra wall on it, I think. And yeah, this stuff is really cool. The acoustical foam that they bring with it's real sharp looking to me. Yeah, real neat. Tools of the trade. I wish my tool of the trade could be a truck so I could have a real nice truck, but it's not. I sit for work. and read. We're getting a little more emotional in that spot, so I'm going to leave a little more spacing for drama. Hey, Spaghetti, thanks for joining. This is episode 250 of Shadow Billionaire that I'm working on right now. I'm the narrator for it, and this is the first episode that anyone has ever seen me record in studio. So, kind of cool. And I've already finished the recording. Currently, I'm editing, which I hope you can't hear it because it's really annoying to hear. As far as editing goes, listening to it when it's done, not so much. That's pretty fun. My mother was actually telling me, she's like, it's like a soap opera and I can't stop listening to it. Not sure how I feel about that comparison, but this has been a fantastic experience for me as an actor because I don't get to see or hear what, not hear, I don't get to read about the characters before they come out. I basically read them as they come out in the script. So production goes really fast on these, and I don't have time to research like accents or I can do pronunciations sometimes, but I believe I've gotten a couple of those wrong. And normally this goes a little quicker. I'm just kind of looking at my chat too and answering questions, and multitasking makes my brain kind of fizzle out. Where are we at here? And I got a smaller editing screen now because I got the TikTok studio thing on the side so I can see your comments and whatnot. So just a little extra work today. Almost done with the episode. Oh my goodness. Ah, Trent. This is right where you joined in. Now, this is the more actiony part, so I'm going to tighten up the spacing even more for effect. Because when you're excited, tensions are running high, usually there's a bit more energy, adrenaline going, higher emotions, not a lot of space between what you're doing. I guess technically I don't have to do it this much because that's what the proofers and masterers and editors will do. But if I have to take out the spacing anyways, and I can kind of get a general idea of a general feel of the episode, it might make it a little easier for them. Sup, King Julian? Thanks for joining. Just finishing up episode 250 of Who Watches the Watchers. Well, that's the title of the episode. The show itself is called Shadow Billionaire from Pocket FM. I'll post a link in the video when it's done, or when I'm done with the video. I think it'll take a couple of days for this episode to be done and released. And then it's going to have music and sound effects, and it'll just be really cool. They're fun to listen to. But that is it. I am done. So I'm going to render this out. Actually, I'll show you that too. And I normalize it first. Yeah, looks like it didn't do too much more than that. And I save project as. Grab this. Don't look at none of that. And we render it out. in 4824 wave. And there it goes. Now I just wait a couple minutes and then my upload is good to go. So I'll move that to where you can see it. There. Oh, maybe you can't see that. All right. Well, have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining the live. Check out Shadow Billionaire on Pocket FM. It's almost 2 million listeners, and it's currently number 14 in their male drama category. So I'm kind of excited about that. Take care, and thanks again. Now, the real trick is figuring out how to end this. Found it. See ya.